Thank you so much for taking the time out and spend this evening with us.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know I was doing this.
You know what? Everyone sitting in the audience would like to swap seats with me right now. They'd love to sit next to you, take a few pictures, have a nice, lovely conversation.
Sure.
I'm feeling great. How are you feeling sitting next to me?
Normally, I would have felt a little nervous, but I remember meeting you and you did this wonderful interview with me. And you asked me like nice questions and you made me feel comfortable. So I am feeling comfortable.
Sure. So, first question for you.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling nervous, surely. What do you think is the role? I mean, the old saying goes, behind every successful man is a woman, right? What do you think is the role of a man in a woman's success?
I think it's the same that a woman has in a man's, success. I think in the same way that, I think my mother has stood by my father, for example. I think he's been the same sort of support system for me. So I don't see it any different. I think, fortunately for me, there's never been this man-woman disparity in my growing up years. So I'd like to believe that a man has the same sort of role in a woman's career or her success.
Last year you had 4 successive hits in a row. It's been a great run for you. You've had a great start and continue to do very well. What does success mean to you?
I wouldn't equate it to anything tangible. I think for me, success is in the intangible. I think it's in the number of lives that you can impact through the work that you do. So whether it's the films, whether it's the characters that you play, or whether it's the films that you do, or in my everyday being, I think if you can impact lives in a positive way, I think that for me is success. So it's not in material things, or it's not in tangible things.
Is there any particular role or character or something that you're looking for? I mean, you're totally waiting for a particular role that you would love to do.
Well, I think a cliched answer would be an action film, because I don't think something of that sort has been explored yet or done to full potential in our country in the way that they have in the West. But having said that, I think for me as an actor, every film is challenging and every role is challenging, or at least that's the phase in my career that I'm at right now, where something might seem really simple on paper or something might seem really difficult on paper. But I find each of them challenging, and I'm always trying to see what new I can do with the characters that I get to play with. And it's fun, it's a fun process. I like that feeling of getting butterflies in my stomach and not knowing what I'm going to do on a film set. I like that nervousness.
Sure. How much success in Bollywood do you think is luck, and how much of it is skill and talent? And when you look back at your own career, how do you look at the proportion of luck and talent?
Luck, very little. Though I'm not saying that it doesn't count. It definitely does.
The harder you work, the luckier you get.
I'm someone who definitely believes in working hard. I'm someone who definitely believes in patience. I think being patient is something that we're all losing very, very fast. Especially with today's youngsters, I feel like they want everything now and everything has to happen instantly. So I think it's important to be patient, but I also think it's important to be extremely focused. And of course, you can, you lose the way, sometimes, and that's fine as long as you know where you're headed.
And so far, what's been the most exhilarating moment of your career? Lots of them.
Uh, yeah, career-wise, you're saying?
Yes.
Quite a few, I would say. Maybe when I bagged my first film, having come from a sports family and knowing nothing about the film industry and bagging my first film opposite Shah Rukh, I think that for me was a huge step. I think 2013 was a very, very special year, just in the way that the films panned out and, you know, and what I gained from those films and the awards that followed after that. And I think this year, two very specific things so far. I would say the success of Piku, I think, which is a film that really touched a lot of lives. And I felt people felt a lot of like instant connection and they felt like
They could relate to the...
they could relate to the character, they could relate to the story. And also I think the launch of my foundation, I think that's something I'm very, very proud of.
Yes, I was just coming to that. So you have spoken quite openly about depression, and we spoke about the foundation when we met. That's carried in the interview. And can you pick up the most challenging points in your personal life?
I would...
Right from
yeah.
childhood, school days, you transition from sports to modeling to films.
That wasn't challenging for me, you know, because even, yes, it was challenging. The decision was not challenging because my parents always were very, very supportive and never made me doubt my own decision. You know, they always were very, very encouraging and very supportive, and they never questioned me about, you know, why another career or why another profession. But I think the phase after my first film, when I was sort of on my own after that, because I was taken such good care of in my first film and they presented me so well, and that was my first taste or experience of any film set. So after that, I always felt like that's how it was always going to be. And it was not. You know, I had to sort of learn from scratch, and I was written off, and you know, my films were not doing well. And so I think that was, I wouldn't say a difficult period for me. I'm not someone who accepts situations like that very easily. I'm someone who, you know, I'm very, very determined like that, and like to come out of those sort of situations. But I used that as a learning experience to see where I can better myself and, you know, use that as constructive criticism. But if at all anything was very, very challenging, I think it was my experience with depression last year, which, you know, when I meet a lot of other people now, I had it pretty easy in that sense. I think my episode lasted 3-4 months, which is nothing compared to, I think, people who've suffered for years.
Sure.
But for me at that point, it definitely was, you know, probably the most difficult, has been the most difficult experience of my life.
Is there anything that keeps you awake at night these days? And what is your greatest insecurity, if at all?
I'm a pretty sound sleeper like that. I think I work hard through the day, and I think like most women in the room, I multitask, and I enjoy multitasking. I think that's something that just comes very naturally to women. So I'm pretty exhausted by, you know, by the end of the day, and I'm someone who's, I think I've picked up some good traits from my father, which is being able to sleep anywhere, anytime, anyhow, you know, like 10-minute power naps. But no, on a serious note, no, I don't, you know, there's nothing that, that worries me in that sense. You asked me something?
Greatest insecurity.
My
if at
greatest
all you have.
insecurity. I wouldn't say insecurity, but I'm
Paranoid. Are you paranoid about something?
No, I think I'm not paranoid either. I'm just concerned for my parents because we live away. They live in Bangalore and I live in Bombay, and I moved out of home to start working pretty young. So I feel like I'm missing, you know, the time that I can get with them as they're growing older. But Other than that, no, I'm not insecure or paranoid about anything. I think I'm someone who's very happy doing what I'm doing, and I can, with the same sort of happiness, give up everything and, go back to the life that I've had in Bangalore.
I'm really getting worried about your sleeping anytime, anywhere. So I'm just going to ask you one last question, which is, since we are in a women's
I'm not
event,
that. I accept that I'm a boring person, and I usually don't have anything interesting to say, but I don't think I'm that boring.
So no, but I am boring. I'm asking you boring questions, perhaps. But one last question, because we are in a women's event.
Where's the
What do you think
timer?
of-
Where's that timer gone?
What is your take on the pay gap in Bollywood?
I think there's too much emphasis on the pay gap in the film industry. But correct me if I'm wrong, I think it exists everywhere, and I think it exists all over the world. And again, there is a situation. There's no running away from that. Do the guys get paid better than the girls? Of course they do. But again, my personality is such that I will look at the situation and I will not whine about it and I will not complain about it, but I will look at it as, as how was it few years ago and how much the situation has already improved. That's just the way I am. That's just my attitude towards life. So yes, addressing the issue, of course. Is there an issue? Of course there is an issue, because it definitely exists. But have we come a long way since then? Yes, we have. But what excites me even more, and Guneet is also sitting in the room, I think it's a very, very exciting time for the film industry right now, and especially for the women, because of the kind of films that are being made and the kind of scripts that are being written. So for me, that is more exciting, and I'm not really worried about the pay issue.
Sure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.